All right, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you bearing with us here as we got the slides and everything together. So today's session is about a program called SCALE that is managed out of UCLA's Technology Development Group and Engineering School in conjunction with Starburst Aerospace. So they are the host and the company that is running and facilitating the accelerator. So my colleague here, Alana Evans, is going to lead us in today's discussion about all things scale. So I'll hand it over to her to sort of kick things off.
Yeah, hi everybody. Hi everybody online. I'm Alana Evans. I'm on the marketing team here at Starburst, based in the El Segundo office, but I help execute our marketing operations and strategy globally, alongside our marketing ops director who's here in the US and our marketing manager who's in the Paris office.
And my name is Breisha Johnson. So I've been serving as the technology scouting manager since the beginning of the SCALE program. We are now about to enter cohort 5, which sounds insane to say, but first cohort kicked off in May of 2021. So I've been with the team since the beginning. And I am currently now serving as a deputy director, helping to facilitate the accelerator. So my role here with UCLA is to help identify technologies that students are working on or professors that could be spin out potential for companies, and then also helping to facilitate connections between startups in the program and universities for potential pilots, collaborations, or partnership potential. So that's just a little bit about me. Before we jump right into the content, for the virtual audience here, if you guys have any questions, please refer to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will get to the questions at the end of the discussion. And I think without further ado, we can go ahead and jump right in. We'll go through a few questions that we've prepared just to give you guys an overview of the program, what to expect, and then the last 20 to 30 minutes or so, any questions from the in-person audience or virtually, we'll be happy to answer those as well. So
All right,
we can get started.
Yeah. Well, to start, what really is SCALE? What are the ultimate goals of the program? Who are we really looking for to apply?
Sure. So SCALE is a 13-week accelerator. It is curriculum-based. This program is for pre-seed and seed stage entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their business in the aerospace and defense industry. So some of the things that we're looking to help companies achieve are helping you to understand the market need for the solution that you're building, helping you to develop a product that has a strong commercial potential. So while the aim of the program is heavily focused on aerospace and defense, obviously, we want to help you build out that commercial side as well. So really facilitating resources around discovering where application lies there. And the makeup of the program is a mix between what is traditionally done in MBA crash course type topics. So covering those startup basics coupled with specifics about the aerospace and defense industry and that knowledge that you need from the subject matter experts there. So we're really trying to help you get those foundational elements in place and help you raise funding in the short term. So some of the goals of the program, as Alana asked, are to help you advance innovation. So helping you move your technology up what's called the technology readiness scale or technology readiness level, helping you to advance that. We're helping you to raise the first rounds of institutional funding. So a lot of founders that are applying come with maybe some family and friends funding, or maybe their personal investment into their business. So really trying to help to connect you with investors for that institutional round. The other things that we look at assisting you with is, of course, securing those early customers and helping you to get those pilots. So what I mentioned earlier about leveraging university relationships, how can we bridge the gap there and help you collaborate on some sort of pilot or partnership opportunity at the university level? And then finally, I'll say the big piece here is just helping you to grow your network. So making those connections to the right people that you need in these different corporations and government entities, and also introducing you to those key investors who would be most excited about what you're building.
Yeah, great. So of course, SCALE is an aerospace-based accelerator, but can you talk about the type of companies that we're really looking for, type of technologies specifically?
Yeah, and that's a good question. So any traditional aerospace or aviation technology you can think of, so satellites, launchers, those rockets, any engines, those types of things, of course, are included. But I think some areas that are overlooked are the enabling technology. So things like cybersecurity, big data solutions. If you're building something in robotics or that has AI, quantum computing, anything supporting infrastructure, these are all things that would be included under the aerospace and defense umbrella. So aerospace, defense, aviation, all those sectors are applicable here and are things that we are looking to help with.
Great. And so for this year's program, will it be fully virtual? Will it be in person? And do participants need to relocate?
Yeah, it's a great question. So initially, the program was kicked off during COVID. So obviously, everything has been fully virtual. We decided to stick with that model because it allows for the most amount of flexibility. We understand that you are running a business at the same time. So in order to best integrate this into the flow of your journey here, we've kept it virtual. The piece about relocation, that's a great question as well. So we do not require you to relocate to participate, being that the program is largely virtual. Most things can be facilitated online. That said, if you would like to work with our team in person or take part of the workshops in person, we are headquartered in El Segundo, and we do have office space if you would like to work from there throughout the program. The last thing I mentioned about the virtual and relocation, the other thing is we host a couple of in-person events throughout the accelerator. So while all of the workshops and lectures will be virtual, we have a couple of community events we usually put on so people can meet each other and collaborate in person. And then the only in-person requirement we have for the program is demo day. So demo day is the culminating presentation, if you will, that you'll give at the end of the cohort. And that is an opportunity for you to showcase your technology to investors, corporates, and government partners, as well as practice the pitch that you'll be developing throughout the 13 weeks.
Great. And do we accept international applicants?
Yes. So this is a global program, although I will say the difference between this accelerator and others that are run by Starburst is SCALE is backed by a Department of Commerce grant. So with that, the goals of that grant are to drive economic growth in the region and really establish Los Angeles as an aerospace hub. So that being said, you can be a global startup. However, for interest into this program, you have to either be looking to expand business operations in the US, and we can use LA as the entry point, or of course, already be operating in California.
And can you talk a little bit about the time frame about, when we're accepting applications, when that will close, and then the time commitment expected after being accepted into the program?
Yes, great questions. So applications opened on February 15th. They will close on March 15th. So we're a little over a week out from the application deadline. Excuse me. The what you can expect throughout that period. So once that closes, we'll do a review and look to notify you sometime in early April if you gained admittance. If you did, the program will kick off on May 1st, and then we'll conclude with the demo day on July 25th. And am I missing any other piece of that question?
Time commitment.
Time commitment,
yes,
thank you for a reminder. So the time commitment for the program, we say, is around 10 hours per week, because we understand, again, that you're running a business. So the structure that we've laid out is we've batched our sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays largely throughout the week. And then we have bi-weekly pitch practice sessions in the evenings on Thursdays. So between the lectures and workshops, our pitch practices, and then we'll also have one-on-one weekly check-ins with each of the companies just to make sure that we're addressing the short-term goals that you have. That puts you around about 10 hours or so, I'd say. Then we may have a few sessions that require you to do a little bit of prep or a little bit of follow-up after the discussion. So I would say that that's sort of the time commitment.
And is there a cost associated with participation? And do companies receive any sort of funding from SCALE itself?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, the program is backed by a Department of Commerce grant. So there is no cost to participate. There's no equity taken. But that being said, there's also no funding given for the program. So we make things very easy, very simple by running things fully virtual. And so there's no funding attachment there. But what I will say is we have launched a fund, Starburst Ventures, that does look at companies coming out of our accelerator programs. So if your solution is applicable for the fund and is interesting, then that could be a possibility for a funding resource.
Great. And I know a few minutes ago we talked about the applications. So what really is required for the actual application itself?
Yeah, good question. So the application can be found on our website, and QR code you see on the screen is the easiest way to access that. Our website is starburst.aero, and the SCALE website specifically is /scale-accelerator. The requirements for the application, really it's a low lift. There's a series of questions there that's really getting at some of the things I mentioned earlier around market need, the problems that you're addressing. Is your solution unique? And why are you the team to be solving this issue? Why are you the one to bring the solution to market? So those are the major things that we'll be looking for in the application. Try to answer as much of the questions as possible. And then there is a pitch deck question where you can submit your pitch deck, but it's not a requirement. That is one of the things that we do work with you on throughout the program. So I would say fill in as much as you can. But those 4 areas I mentioned earlier are really the metrics that we're looking at to see, if this would be a best fit or not.
And so who are the various community partners that support SCALE and work directly with Starburst?
That's a great question as well. So our partners, of course, are UCLA. We work with Jet Propulsion Lab, MITRE, RAND Corporation, and then we have the City of LA, the Los Angeles World Airports, and a few other community partners we leverage. So the relationship there is, I touched a little bit on how we interact with UCLA, but really is we have subject matter experts who are a part of the Starburst community. who volunteer their time either by leading a workshop or just a general resource for, if I find out one of the companies is looking for guidance on government funding, how to apply for that, what is the process, where do I look? We have a mentor we can connect you with directly who can walk you through that process. But also we have now past alumni who have been through that process already and have gone through the various phases who can give you real feedback on what that was like for them.
Mm-hmm. And so upon completing the program, what type of benefits do you see for the startups themselves?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. So what I've seen in the past 4 cohorts we've run is a little bit of variation in terms of what the startups walk away with. But the main things that we're looking to assist with is getting you investment ready. So as I said, working with you on that pitch deck, helping to introduce you to those key investors that understand what you're building in the space that you're building it in, helping you to solidify your product market fit, and really understanding where the space application is as well as the commercial application. A lot of founders come to us needing a better understanding of storytelling and how to talk to the different audiences that you'll need to speak with, how to craft that narrative for the different stakeholders that you have. So that's one other area that we'll heavily focus on. And then finally, I think the huge advantage of participating in an accelerator in general, but more especially SCALE, is the network expansion that you will gain at the end. So you will meet all these subject matter experts who are leading these lectures and workshops. While you may not need them immediately, you will likely need them at some point in your journey. So you have someone to refer to reach out to get more information there. And then the other thing is your fellow cohort mates. So if you're struggling with something that they've already been through, you have that support there. You have like-minded entrepreneurs there as a support system for you.
Mm-hmm. I know we talked about some of the topics that we cover, but can we expand a little bit about, the actual content during the program?
Yeah. So I sort of batch the program topics into, I would say, 3 big buckets. So the first third is really focused on startup basics. So we're talking about things like business models. What are your assumptions and the viability of the business? How can we challenge that? What is your unique value proposition? Storytelling techniques. What do you need to know about branding and marketing? Those elements. And then we'll go into the aerospace and defense specific topics. So looking at proposal strategy, looking at government grant opportunities. We're also talking about how do you do work with the DoD? How do you work with the government effectively? And then finally, we'll do this throughout a little bit, but the last third of the program is heavily focused on the preparation for demo day. So looking at funding and investment there. So who are the right investors? How do I approach them? What are the things that I should expect in my first few meetings? What are the terms? Once I get an investment sheet, what do those mean? What is the due diligence process? Those are the types of things that we'll cover throughout 13 weeks.
And so I see that we have an online question that I think would be applicable now. What TRL stage is normally accepted? Also, is the program more for Series A plus ventures? This question is just based on the composition of the majority of our last cohort.
Okay, yeah. So I would say the technology readiness level or the scale that I mentioned earlier, I would say most companies sit between a TRL 3 and 7. And a TRL 3, what that is, and I looked it up so I could have more actionable information for you guys. So a TRL 3 means that you have an active research and design started on your solution, and that you're working on or you're constructing your proof of concept. So that's a TRL 3. All the way up to a TRL 7 is you have a working model and a prototype, and you've also tested it in the space environment. So wide range there, but these are all pre-Series A solutions. So pre-seed and seed stage companies, I would say we better serve companies who are, I would say the raise is probably less than 10 million, definitely. I would say anywhere from maybe 1 million to 8 million or so, somewhere around there. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Okay, great. I know we talked about some of our corporate partners, but what really does that relationship look like throughout the program and after the program?
Yeah, so corporate partners serve in a few different ways. So during the program, if you need just more explanation about a certain topic or you need a deeper dive on something you're working on, they're there as a mentor resource. Next would be if you need testing space or you need some special requirement in order to do a simulation or testing of your solution, then we'll reach out to our corporate partners to help facilitate that for you. Following the program, we can still help facilitate those relationships for you. But I would say while you're in the program, try to take as much advantage of the time you have. 13 weeks is a short time, but if you think that there may be something down the line that you would need, getting that as early as possible, I would recommend. But post-program, we're still there to help you still doing investor outreach for people, still helping do pitch deck development and all those things and giving feedback there. So that's sort of how the relationship functions in and outside of program.
Great. Yeah, question?
You guys mentioned like there's various stages within like that TRL stage where they're at. Is there an expectation, like of course once you finish you'll have your pitch deck ready? Is there an expectation on where they're supposed to be at once they finish the program?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you guys in here online, the question is basically, when I was discussing the TRL levels and range, is there an expectation for you to end up at by the end of the program, basically? So I would say there is no specific requirement on like which TRL level you should hit, but what I will say is usually, so we do a 6-month check-in with all the companies post-program, and everyone has at least advanced one TRL level. So if not multiple. So there's no like set stage that you have to be at when you're done, but some movement or some advancement is what we're hoping for. Yeah.
How large is the cohort?
Good question. So the cohort we've taken in the past, we take anywhere from 8 to 10 companies. Our most recent SCALE cohort had 9 founders. So yeah, anywhere between 8 to 10. So we like to keep the cohort small to help foster that collaboration, and also during the sessions, it's just a lot easier to be engaged with the subject matter expert, talking about or delivering whatever topic they're
So would each of them be an individual founder, or would they have already formed a team of 2 or 3 people in some cases?
Yeah. So that's a great question as well. So single founders versus a team. So we do lean more towards a team, only because it is difficult to run a startup, and we like mentally, just practically, it's a lot of work. And so having a team around you will just make things a lot easier. We have accepted single founders in the past, and it's just a lot of work. So the easier you can make it on yourself, I would say, if you have, the requirement is to have at least, I would say at least 2 full-time people working on the business. But if you're not there yet, if you have part-time folks supporting, any level of help of a team around you, I think would be more beneficial than just running it on your own.
Could you help a single founder find potential team?
Yeah. So we have had folks reach out. If you have specific like requirements or things that you're looking for, or like strengths that you have that you need supplemented, we can help do some outreach for you, but there's no guarantees, obviously, that we can help pair you with the right person. That is a difficult find for co-founders and team members. Yeah, difficult fit.
And speaking of that, there's kind of like two components to that. One, are most of the founders like from your past cohorts and things like that, are they mainly like full-time individuals where they're working on this full-time, or most of them, hey, we're engineering students, this is a grad school project, and we're just looking to, kind of push this on to wherever it may lead. So like, what are you guys seeing in terms of founder education level, whether they're graduated and they're spinning it out, or they're still students just trying to?
Yeah, great question. Question for the online audience is, what types of founders are we seeing? Are we seeing more experienced founders joining, or students who are more developing their project and looking to spin it out? So I would say we've had a range. We've had some seasoned entrepreneurs, even multiple time founders in the program, and then we've had students. Excuse me. But what I would say is, if you are a student team, you still need to have somebody who's full-time dedicated to building the solution. We've had a couple teams actually of graduating seniors or grad students who are working on a solution. So yeah, I would say you have to be full-time working on the project. Yeah. Might be a little early if you're still like part-time and testing things out. It might be a little early for this.
Let's see if we
Great
have
questions,
any
And
virtual
speaking of
questions.
that, like funding, I mean, depending on where people are at, especially kind of earlier on in the cycle.
Yeah.
Given that, there's some of these corporate partners that are involved, is there anything associated, like, hey, there's no equity, there's no, like, hey, is it, access to some of these facilities at a cost, or is it just like a pipeline into those companies? Or how does that, contribution go between corporate partners and some of the technical support?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for the online folks, the question is, the corporate partners, is there a fee associated with engagements with them if you wanted testing facilities, or how does that relationship function? So the partners that we have attached to the program, I would say there is no fee in program, like during the accelerator. And I can't make that guarantee outside of the 13 weeks though. So if we're facilitating an introduction with MITRE, for instance, and we're like, hey, I have a company who's looking for secure access and needs to test, XYZ, whatever they need to test, that would come at no charge. But if I don't know if that's the same if I were to do that introduction maybe 6 months out of program or 3 months out of program. But in my experience, even out of program, when I'm making introductions, people are open and usually pretty eager to help and support. So while I can't guarantee it, I've seen people just, absolutely happy to help.
Can you share an example or two of a couple of the startups from past cohorts and just some of the technologies they work on?
Sure. So a few of the, I guess, technologies that have come out that I guess are top of mind to me. So we've had hyperspectral imaging companies in the cohort who are doing helping with defense applications, or helping just with any like oil spills or things like that, doing assessments on that. We've had people working on hypersonic jets. We've also had people working on different ways of launching things into space. And then we've had people working on local transportation solutions that are leveraging aerospace technology. So a varied range there. And I'm not sure if I can share exact company names. So I don't want to, well, actually I can share company names. So Rebel Space is one of the companies that has gone through the SCALE cohort and has fed into our late stage accelerator that focuses more on the Series A space. And then, and they're doing connectivity and communication solution. And then we've also had another company called AVI that's working on software for baggage solutions for aviation, and they've been doing phenomenal. So varied technologies here, but I think a wide range that we can support through the network that we have and through the corporates that we're partnered with.
Mm-hmm. And from your perspective, Breja, as the director of SCALE, what's your biggest piece of advice for startups that are looking to apply?
Ooh, yeah. I like this question. Okay. My biggest piece of advice is to, well, one, when you're applying, don't second guess. Put in as much information as you can, and we'll do the assessment on whether or not we think it's a good fit or not. The other thing I would say is, even if you're not selected for this cohort, that doesn't mean that your solution isn't great or isn't viable or anything like that. It could be a little too early. We usually get a large number of applications, so it could just be, a very competitive pool. Put as much information in there as you can. The other thing is highlight any level of traction you have. So if you have anyone who's bought into your solution, so if you're having conversations with people now, just doing proof of concept talks, and they're like, oh yeah, this is something I would buy in the future, and they're connected to a potential partner you might have, see if you can get that in writing in terms of like a letter of intent for your business, or some understanding agreement that if this were available in the market, I would actually pay for it. And the other thing I would say when applying is to, I would say, look at this program as a collaboration opportunity for you. This is one of the big values out of this is the community that comes out of it. So not just the mentors that you'll be meeting, but also your fellow cohort mates. Really lean into the collaboration with them, because I think there's a lot of potential there with just helping each other, like building as you climb, helping each other come up. So that's what I'd say.
Great. Do we have other questions in the in-person group?
Approximately how many applications do you get?
So it's varied per cohort, but I would say we've gotten anywhere from maybe 50 to 100 applications per cycle. Yeah.
And then what's distinguished, like, you down select between those 100 to like the 8 or so that you normally get? What's normally like the differentiating factor? Is it like, the management experience, technology readiness level,
Yeah.
business market opportunity?
Yeah, good question. So the distinguisher between how are we down selecting from the large application pool? So we're looking for a clear commercial path, right? So the things that I mentioned earlier, are you addressing problems in the market? Is this solution unique enough? Because there are a lot of people working on similar things, but is yours unique? And then the other big thing is team. Why are you the ones to bring this to market? Like, what in your background is convincing others that you're going to be able to execute on this? Those are the main things that we'll be assessing for in your application.
What sort of background is like a good background? Like, do you need to have like a master's, a PhD, or like,
Yeah.
is it okay if you're like
Yeah.
just a bachelor's with like a master's?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. So what qualifies as a good background? And that's a good question. So you do not have to have a PhD, and you don't have to have all those things. I think it's Are you, one, what are the skill sets you're bringing to the table in conjunction with the solution you're offering? And then two, have you been able to attract the talent that's necessary to make this happen? Right? So if you don't have all the skill sets or the education necessary, have you been able to attract that talent to work with you on the solution? Because that gives like a little bit of validation as well. Yeah. Do we have any other online? That's it? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys for the questions. I think the last few things I'll mention in terms of next steps, like what do we do now? Yeah, so how do you apply for the SCALE cohort? I think we've lost our screen here, but so the website is starburst.aero/scale-accelerator. That's one way to apply.
Arrow/scale.
Yes, SCALE-accelerator. So that's how you can apply. Applications will be up and open until March 15th. You have until the end of the day on March 15th to apply. If you have any questions or anything I said today, you forgot, you need a reminder, you can reach out to scale@starburst.aero. Or, of course, you can reach out to me directly. My name is Breesia Johnson again. First name is BRIJA @starburst.aero. So you can reach out to me directly. And we can set up a call. If you want to know, if you want to talk to me more about what you're building, just want to say, hey, how viable do you think this is for fitting in the SCALE program? Happy to do that too. And then finally, I'll say, if you aren't quite at the point of getting your company involved with the SCALE Accelerator, but you still want to be involved with the community, we also have mentorship opportunities available. We'll host community events. So if you just want to come out and meet some of the other founders that have been through the program or in our other accelerators, and meet some of the other government and corporate partners we have in the ecosystem, you're also welcome to do that. So I guess with all that said, that's kind of all I have for today. Does anybody have any last questions before we wrap here? Either in person or online? See some things.
Patent support. Do you normally, have you seen, like, at least from the last couple of cohorts, have you seen any like patents come out of it in terms of, like, are they, hey, the company's kind of far off, they normally don't see that, or hey, it's pretty common to see like certain patents come through?
Oh, patents.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't have much information there. So I know quite a few of the companies going through have had their patents pending, and I don't think, I from what I can remember, I haven't gotten any update on the status of those. But speaking of that, if you do need support around filing those things and looking at what the options are there, the office I work with directly does that for UCLA. So if you need more guidance on the patent process and just want to know what is patentable, what is the cost around that and how long does it take, all those things, we have a direct resource for you there. That's a good question. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight and for the great questions. As I said, please feel free to reach out. My name is Breesia Johnson, and we look forward to seeing your application come through. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you
Have
so
a great
much.
night.